Hey, this is Unfiltered Curiosity. I'm Mark and this is Jesse. And today I think we're going to talk about kids in the 90s growing up rather than kids in the 2000s. So, yeah, and me growing up in the late 80s and early 90s, it was a lot different back then. Being a kid, as a kid, you don't really think about where your life's going. You're just living in the moment, which would be awesome for adults if we did that.
So, what's one biggest thing that you notice between kids nowadays versus you say you're born in the 80s, kind of grew up in the 90s,
Hmm.
right? So,
Yes.
with that, how do you feel like that's different from, for example, did you have to ride a school bus to school versus where a lot of kids, yeah, a lot do still ride the school bus, but I know a lot of kids get dropped off too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, the first thing that really comes to mind of kids nowadays is a lot of them are inside. Like a lot of them are on their screens. When we were growing up, we had a TV, you know, kind of had a computer. It was super basic computers, you know what I mean? But we were always outside. Like we were always outside. Our parents, well, my mom rarely knew where we went. It was, when the street lights come on, we better be home. If we didn't, there was ass whoopings.
I was born in the 90s, but I mean, it was the same rules. Like, I remember I got in some deep trouble one time when I went over to my neighbors and we went down the road to another friend's, which we were only like a block away. It was pretty common that we would do that. But streetlights came on and I wasn't home. Like, I walked outside and streetlights were on and I was like, I'm in deep shit. I did it a couple different times, but I mean, I still feel like nowadays, whether it's the kid's choice or not, I still feel like it's not safe for them to be out and just, "Hey, come back whenever," just with all the different crimes and stuff going on nowadays.
Yeah, well, I don't know that the crime has gotten worse. Maybe it has. I don't know. You can definitely check me on that. But I just think that kind of more like we're so safe nowadays as me being a parent. I worry about my kids, and I'm not saying that my mom didn't worry about me and my brother and stuff because she did. But I just think that it was a lot more free in the 90s than it is now. It's tough when I'm so worried about my kids that I don't want them to drive. I don't want them this, and it's not that I don't want them to. I do. I just worry. Like I'm a constant worrier. And that could be a psychological thing. Like I can feel myself worrying about stuff that, it's just, I mean, really life is going to happen whether you hover as a parent or whether you give grace or, anything like that. So, but
Do you think that ties to, kind of going back to the screens that you were saying, like, kids are always on their screens nowadays, and, I mean, I'm sure we could do a whole episode on, like, just the threats with that, but do you feel like parents are more on edge nowadays of letting their kids do certain things because they're more aware of the crime? Like, in
hmm,
the 90s, you didn't know about the crime unless you watched the news, right? Or you
mhm.
read the paper, whereas nowadays, we're all surrounded by crime.
Yeah,
Like, it's news feed after news feed or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. I mean, when I first, moved down here, the old park I used to work at, like, 2 months after I moved down here, one of the rides got stuck and it went viral, and I found out within 3 hours.
yeah.
That's an
We're
insane
usually
amount of time when there's 2,000 miles between you, you know?
Yeah, I think media has a lot to do with it. But I mean, there are some people that they don't mind that their kids are out and about, and I'm not calling them bad parents, but it's when you're watching your kids leave, for doing whatever, going to the park or whatever, you just have this almost debilitating fear that something bad's going to happen, and then when they come home, you're like relieved that it doesn't. And I think that back in the 90s, it was less like that. I think that the respect for kids was a little different back then as well. Kids' well-being today is, I don't know, it's almost taken a back burner to stuff.
What makes you say that?
Well, like I think with the introduction of social media and everything, like everything's kind of cyber. And so there's like cyber attacks now, you know what I mean? Not necessarily like physical attacks, but like cyber attacks and stuff. And I don't, as far as to say sextortion and stuff like that, like so it doesn't matter if our kids go outside, they can be attacked online. You know,
Oh, for sure.
there's so many things that can happen to children nowadays that is kind of scary, you know, but man, we used to have fun outside, you know, in the 90s. Like that was our thing. That was our social media. That was everything social about
Yeah,
us was outside.
I remember I would come home, and this was probably in like second grade. It was the first time I had actually like really injured my back, and like I was always out playing basketball or wiffle ball or whatever, with the neighbor kid. And the neighbor kid was quite a few years older than me. He was probably 4 or 5 years older than me, but we would play and do whatever, and but we were always out. We were in the snow, we were everything. And I had hurt my back, and so I like physically could not play. I just didn't have that ability at the time. And so I had to sit at home, and I remember being so bored just sitting there watching TV. Like, obviously, after a week of doing it, you kind of adapt to it, you start adapting to different ways. But I really wasn't a TV kid.
Mm.
I've seen probably a fraction of the Disney movies that are out, and people are like, "Oh, you've never seen Cinderella?" And I'm like, "No." You
That's a
know,
classic.
just because, like, yeah, they're classics that I was
Mm.
just like, I was outside. I wasn't, or I saw them young enough that I don't remember.
Hmm.
Like Beauty and the Beast, I don't think I saw that until 3 or 4 years ago.
Mm.
And
Like the
so, like,
original, not the live action.
original, yeah,
Yeah.
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 Um, I mean, I've seen more of the live actions probably now just because 'cause they're newer movies versus the other ones. I know the stories. I know Snow White lived with dwarves or whatever, and I watched the series Once Upon a Time for a minute a few years back, but I was always outside. I was either always on my bike. My mom tells me stories about how she was getting ready to go to work, and she looked out her window, and she saw our playset that was there, and I had the swings taken off, and my bike was hanging from it because it was drying because I was painting it. I was out doing those things. I don't know how many
Hmm.
times I sanded down my skateboard and repainted it, or
Yeah.
same thing with my bike.
Yeah.
Like,
Or even rode a skateboard. You know what I mean? Like
oh,
just
I
riding a
never rode it
skateboard.
because I was horrible.
Oh.
I face planted every time. So I just redecorated it every time.
Mm.
But I mean, I built a couple different longboards and stuff. I was pretty good at longboarding, but I was out doing those things versus now their kids really aren't out doing those things. They're more, like you said, behind their screens.
Yeah, yeah. And we always were playing with friends. We're always over at friends' houses. You know, we're mostly outside at friends' houses and things like that. And I think our kids are just like more introverted. It's like my kids are introverted. I'm an introvert. My wife's a extrovert. You know what I mean? It's not like I had a harbored life, but it seems like,
No, but so because you could be like an introvert, extrovert also. You could be
mhm,
both. Because for a while, I wasn't as outgoing as I was because I was always shy or
mhm,
embarrassed, but I was still an extrovert. So like I still wanted to be involved in everything. I didn't know how to go about that.
yeah, yeah,
Oftentimes, like we kind of stay in the background, but then once I hit probably I'd say 15, 16 is when, which I guess was also right about the time I came out. But I mean, I really dove into this is who I am, who cares?
mhm,
And I started not caring what people thought. And so that's what kind of started my more extrovert. And
yeah,
then, but I don't like being alone. Like I can be alone, but I'm not like, "Ah, I can't wait to go home and just sit on my couch and be alone."
yeah,
That sounds like a horrible time to me.
yeah. And
Let's go hang out with other people. And
mhm,
I thrive in my industry because I get to see so many people in a day that
mhm,
I can go outside of my office and just go see thousands of people.
mhm.
Whereas, like, I mean, if I worked in a different industry, I probably wouldn't be able to do that. And then I would just be like, it's all right
Yeah, yeah.
versus enjoying what I do.
Yeah, I feel like I went from an extrovert when I was a kid, and I slowly became an introvert. With the job that I have now, you know, I have customers that I deal with, and work Mark and home Mark are almost two different people. You said an introvert, extrovert. I'm way more outgoing, when I'm getting paid for it, I suppose, rather than if I'm at home. I don't like people. I think that was just developed over time. Just life happens, and it was
Well, I
developed
think
over
there's
time.
there's also people skills too, right? I think a lot of it, because if you look up the definition of introvert and extrovert, it has to do with how you recharge your mind and body versus how outgoing you are. Because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people are, oh, that person's really outgoing. They must be an extrovert, which a lot of times isn't true
Hmm.
because or whatever reason.
Yeah.
Um, but you have to think how, what, 6 years ago now, we all got shoved in our houses and told not to talk to each other for our health and well-being.
Hmm.
And when that happened, social skills just decline.
Hmm.
Nobody knows how to have good conversations anymore either.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, I wonder how much of that impacted the kids of staying inside, staying on the screens
Yeah.
because they got shoved in their houses for 3, 4, 6 months, however long it was, depending on where you were.
Hmm.
You could communicate with these people online and talk to them online, and those were your friends because you would make connections with them.
Hmm.
Versus now you have to go out in public to school or wherever and talk to them face to face, where it's not just words that you're saying. You have to read somebody's body language. You have to read their tone of voice. The words that we actually say is only 7% of the message that is actually sent to you.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why even a phone call is going to be better than a text because
Hmm.
then you can hear their tone and what they're actually, you can tie more of the message to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, what are you doing? Rather than, hey, what are you doing? Yeah. So I definitely think that we've gotten, a lot more hovery with kids as far as where you at and who you with, where you going, and it was kind of like that back in the day, when I was growing up. Tell me where you're going to be. We didn't have cell phones. You know what I mean? If you're going to be here, you got to be here at a certain time. And now we always know where our kids are because they're in their rooms on a screen.
That's
Yeah.
fair. See, I wonder how much of that is you're just more aware of it now because you're a
Hmm.
parent
Yeah.
versus, which I mean, I would imagine I would be that way if I was a parent too. But I, looking at other parents that I and people that I know that have kids, I mean, the older they get, I've noticed there's less of that. Hey, let me meet the parents before you go over there, it's just more of, "Oh, hey, can I go to my friend John Doe's house tonight?" And then they just either ride home from school, and with parents having to work so much these days, not just being a single parent income can suffice, whereas that you have both, that's fine. Go
Yeah.
ahead. I feel like there's a lot less of that, whereas when I was younger, my mom was, "You're not hanging out with somebody unless I've met the parents. You're not going to their house unless I've met the parents." And
Yeah.
that was just, I think, just to get a good vibe of who they were,
Right. Yeah.
which, I mean, makes sense.
Yeah, man, I feel it was a lot more free in the 90s. I think, nowadays we have, apps on our phone, Life 360, that we can see where our kids are at all times. And now it's make sure your phone's charged. And so they have to have a phone on them. And I
Yeah.
think that makes me feel better about letting them go anywhere, which is, I mean, tracking your kids, it's putting a leash on your kids.
Yeah, it's kind of a catch-22.
Hmm.
We complain that technology is so involved around kids and they're all on their screens all the time. Yet we get them phones at 6 so that way you know where they're at and they have it on them.
Hmm.
Also, it provides some sort of entertainment, whatever, but you do it for the tracking aspect of it, but then you also complain that they're on their screens all the time, but you supply the screen because it
Right.
helps your anxiety about having kids out in the world.
Yeah, yeah, and I really do think that screens, they they kinda hinder kids in a way when my if my kids are getting a little too hyphy or whatever attitude, we take the phones away. If we take the phones away, within a week, they start acting better. They start doing stuff better. They start doing their chores before we have to tell them, and then that slowly goes away as they get their phones back. You know what I mean?
Do you guys have, and you don't have to answer this, but do you guys have parental controls of they can't download certain apps or things that on their phones?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they'll find a way around it. They always do.
That's valid.
Yeah, because they probably
Well,
know more about phones than I do. I mean, I use my phone for texting, calls, pictures, but I don't know even a third or a quarter of what my phone is capable of doing. I can that's something I can learn. So if I have a
interesting.
problem with my phone, either I can Google it or I can ask my kids and my kids will figure it out for me. Which I
Yeah.
try to Google it more so than anything, not to like burden them.
Well, I mean, I recently pushed my parents to get the same phone I do because they were always asking me questions. I'm like, I don't know. I don't
Mhm.
use your phone. I can't use an Android to save my life. If you give me an Android, have no idea how to use it. I become a grumpy old man. It ain't gonna work.
Mhm.
I mean, my parents, they would sit there and they're like, "Hey, I don't know, I need to know how to do this, blah, blah." Whereas now I'm 2,000 miles away, but, "Oh, hey, go up in the upper left-hand corner and click this button,
Mhm.
and I can help them through it if I need to." Granted, being as far away as I am, they don't call me for tech issues. They call one of
Yeah.
my siblings, but it's a burden, but it's also nobody in life could go nowadays without it.
Yeah.
Not nobody, there's a few that could, but we're all so dependent on it that even somebody born in the '80s, you're reliant on technology at this point now
Mhm.
too. I mean, all different generations are reliant on it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's this forcible thing that we have to deal with now. Everything's digital. Banks, I rarely see cash anymore. Like,
I don't carry
everything's
cash on
yeah.
me. There's no point for me to do it, unless there's
Mhm.
something I specifically need cash for. Which also, I mean, to flip it back to kids nowadays, if you go back and look at Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts where they sell the cookies and stuff at the grocery store, nobody has cash for that.
No.
I don't carry cash, but I feel like it's definitely more of an old-fashioned thing for people to carry cash on them. But I wonder how much that affects, especially now with Bitcoin and stuff coming out. It's all technology related.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think it was, I wish my kids could have grown up in the '90s kinda thing. I just think that it was a lot more fun time, and,
What more experiences from the '90s do you think you had versus what your kids are missing out on?
the actual physical social part of it. The kids go to school and everything, but parties are a lot different. The streets seem a little bit less populated with kids. Everyone's kinda inside.
I do feel like your kids are pretty okay on the social aspect, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Just
mean
because I think just due to age, one of them is much quieter than the other. But I mean, there's one that talks my ear off every time I see
mhm.
y'all. So
Yeah. Yeah, he's a talkative one, that one. Yeah, so I don't and it's hard to put my finger on exactly what's different because I'm not a kid in their era, you know what I mean? But it
right.
just seems there were softer times back then, a
What do you
lot
mean
softer.
softer times?
Softer, like, hmm, it was just easier to get the kids to us kids to go outside. It was a lot less likely for our parents to worry.
Yeah. It's also hard. I mean, I can't really talk too much to it. I mean, I have nieces and nephews that I can kind of refer to for that.
Mhm.
And I mean, obviously I work with kids on a certain level, so I can kind of see that too. But seeing it from a parent perspective, I can't really relate to that just yet. So, I mean, I would like to be able to say, yeah, I'm going to raise my kids like I was raised, but there's so much more technology now
Mhm.
that it's almost a different barrier because you were saying earlier, the cyber attacks and stuff. I mean, we have there's a museum down here. It's called the Alcatraz Museum, and they have a whole section that is cyber related attacks and how. I mean, I'm sure we've all heard of how kids have gotten attacked by them, and then they go into these deep depressions, and then they end up committing suicide or something. Those are far more important attacks to kind of be monitoring.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, growing up, I was like, "Oh, these parent controls are dumb. I know what I'm doing because kids know everything."
Mhm.
But then later, you're like, "Oh wait, kind of get it."
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's just different time, different time.
If you could take one part of your childhood and implement it back into your kid's childhood, what would it be?
Get outside,
What part of Get Outside?
like
What's
bikes.
one activity that you did as a kid that you feel helped build, whether that's work ethic or personality or
Yeah.
help build towards who you are?
I would say dirt biking. We did a lot of dirt biking. I did a lot of skateboarding, tons of skateboarding, bike riding. We grew up, we didn't have a lot of money. We didn't have half the stuff that we have today, regardless of the technology. But we were always doing something. We were always riding bikes or going dirt biking or skating all over the place. That's what we would do. Me and my brother and a bunch of friends. We would just go for hours and hours and hours and just skate everywhere.
That sounds horrible.
Now it does. Yeah. Back then
That
it was
sounds
super.
way too much cardio. Even
Yeah.
when I was younger, I always hated cardio.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no. I mean, I would ride bikes and stuff, and in the winter we would always shovel our snow into a giant pile, and we would snowboard down it. We always did sledding. I mean, I was always a pretty active kid, but I was also the first kid to be like, "Don't have to run? Absolutely,
Yeah.
that's
Peace,
me. I
deuces.
will.
Yeah.
Peace. I'm out. I'm
Yeah.
not doing that."
Yeah. Or
Um,
we would go to the lake and, go kneeboarding or wakeboarding or tubing or, something, which I mean, we still do that now, but we didn't have a lot of snow. We didn't have any snow where I was growing up in California. So
do you feel you, as a parent, have more flexibility to be able to help push your kids outside? Or do you feel with having to have double incomes, do you feel that impacts having to be able to get your kids outside?
that's hard to say. My wife is the one that pushes the kids to go further as far as outside kind of thing than I do. I'm just I it's almost I rarely get to see my kids because I work so much. And that's a me, but she's more of the enforcer when it comes to getting outside or getting off the phones or stuff like that. It's not that I can't be bothered with it. That's not it. I just think my wife has a different mindset than I do.
Did you ever get your jet skis fixed last year?
Yeah, we did. We didn't get them fixed last year. We never put them in last year, but
Oh,
yeah, we're wanting to put them in this year. But that's something that's super fun and the kids love to do. They love water sports, and it's weird. My daughter, she can swim, but my son doesn't know how to swim. He knows how to sink, but
no, that is sink.
yeah, and that's crazy all in itself because I feel me and my brother were swimming before we could walk.
So why does he know how to swim?
I don't know. It's
Has he's just not good at it, or
Well, he's not. He just doesn't know how. He doesn't get the concept, and it's not like we haven't tried in between
right?
swim lessons and stuff. I just think that he panics whenever he's,
Yeah. Well, the other day, and there was this kid. Every time he would start swimming, he'd start panicking, and then he opens his mouth, and then he starts drowning because he's
Mhm,
getting water in his mouth. Just overhearing because I wasn't actually watching, but the dad was there, and he was trying to talk him through it. "Oh, calm down. You can't panic.
mhm.
If you
Yeah,
panic, you're going to sink."
yeah. Me and my brother, we were so young when we were swimming that I don't remember floating I don't remember all that. Yeah, he can't even float. He just panics.
I mean, I remember going to swim lessons when I was younger, but we also I mean, growing up, there was so many lakes around, and it
Hmm.
helped that my family had lake property, so that definitely helped because then there was more time. But I mean, every single weekend growing up, I remember there were years we'd just leave the trailer packed all year, and we would just add new food
Mm. Yeah, yeah,
every weekend because we were going camping every weekend. Whether that
yeah,
was are we going up to the lake or are we going dirt biking? Or going
yeah.
up the river, there's so many options out there, like, I didn't realize how I just thought that everywhere did that. Like, you
Mm.
could just go into any kinda woods and just go do that. Apparently, that's not a thing.
Yeah.
Because down here, you can't just say, "Oh, hey, I'm gonna go camp in my car for the weekend." You can't go do that out here. You have to have a specific slot paid for.
Mm.
They're woods, it's woods, but you have to have it paid for because it's a national park versus we just had woods out there.
Yeah. And that's something I take for granted. My wife does not take that for granted. She wants to get out and go camping. And
You
I'm a homebody. Yeah, that's what I like to do. It's hard to spend. $500,000 on a house and then never be here and just work, 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 and then never be here. But
Yeah.
but I mean, even that gets boring. I'm really into dirt biking. I really, really like it. I'm not anywhere near professional. I love trail riding. That's kind of my thing. I'm not one to go jump and stuff like that. When I was younger, I guess I would, but I guess I just have a lot of responsibility now. I love going dirt biking. Again, that's a mono sport. It's just me. Organized sports or, soccer, baseball. I just feel some sort of anxiety taking my kids
There's a lot
to
of
those things.
pressure, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of pressure, a lot of parents screaming at their kids. And at what point is it become fun rather than, and I understand sports are competitive. They're supposed to be competitive. But I mean, they're 13
Right.
years old. We have to calm down on that.
True. I mean, at what point does that take the fun out of it for kids too? My nephew, he has been wrestling since he could basically walk,
Mhm.
and my niece as well. And so that's really cool that they had that competitiveness to be able to do it. Because I also feel it provides them to self discipline.
Mhm.
Because I mean, I don't have the self discipline to like go run a mile. I mean,
Mhm.
I do it, but it's taken me over the last. I mean, when did I start? I started training for a 5K in May, I think, and I'm just now getting to the point where I'm not cutting my workouts short because I don't
Mhm.
want to run the full mile.
Yeah.
Like, if I cut my workout short, then I'm not gonna be able to actually run the 5K
Yeah.
when I need to. And
Yeah.
so, but my nephew, he's yeah, I gotta cut weight by tomorrow. I gotta cut 3 pounds by tomorrow. So he makes his bathroom a whole freaking sauna, and he's like, I'm gonna bike on the Peloton for 35 minutes in 3 or 4 different sweatpants.
Mhm.
And then I have 3 or 4 sweatshirts on. I just sweat it all out.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
N-
Yeah. Yeah.
no
Yeah.
thanks. But you have to have a competitive edge to be able to
Mhm.
do it too.
Yeah. My son he races BMX and he really, really likes that. And I love taking him to BMX. I don't do it as often as I probably should. But I like taking him to BMX because it's a one person thing. He's racing against all these other kids, and he loves it. And it's good to see him out there riding. But I'd rather take him to that rather than soccer or something.
Yeah. I guess I've never thought about the mono sport you were talking
Mhm.
about. Wrestling or um, dirt biking, BMXing, there's jujitsu that I know some people that have gotten into that recently that I guess I just never thought of those. 'Cause it's just not the first sport that comes to your mind. When I think of sports, I'm gonna think of sports with a ball for one.
Yeah,
And
football,
two, I'm gonna
baseball.
think of sports that are probably team oriented.
Hmm.
Like, I threw shot put through middle school and high school, and, I mean, that it's kind of a team sport, but it's you have a team that you're on, but
Hmm.
I'm not reliant on the other guys.
Yeah, yeah, it's more reliable on yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that social media does kinda affect what goes on now because we can hear from murders, 5 miles away to 5,000 miles away, in an instant, as soon as it happened. Car wrecks, oh, man, constantly. I'm so afraid for my kids to drive, but they're gonna have to drive, you know what I mean? At
Yeah.
at some point, they have to learn. I think that whatever happens is gonna happen, and we can't stop that. We can't stop.
Well, and, like, with driving, like, cars are built better these days too. Do they crunch? Yes, but they're made to crunch for your safety.
Y
The car we just bought, like, it will crunch, and then the motor, it drops, so
Yeah, the
that way it
motor
doesn't
drop.
go into your lap,
Mhm.
which, I mean, I know a couple different people that have died that way because the motor was into their lap because it was a 1990s. I feel technology in that way also has helped where kids will eventually they may have longer lifespans and stuff like that because there's more technology safe things.
Yeah, brake assist and lane change assist and stuff. If they made them more affordable, that'd be great, but we're gonna get our kids the '90s and early
Yeah.
2000s cars because they're cheap, they're beaters with heaters,
Yep.
and we're gonna put a sticker that says, "Be patient, student driver." You know what I mean? That's our cure all pretty much, you know what I mean? But
Yeah. I mean, they are much sturdier as our body takes more of an impact in those
mhm.
cars. The accident I got into right before my graduation, had I been in a little car, who knows? I probably wouldn't have walked for graduation.
Yeah.
But because I was in a tank from the 90s, I was safe by getting T-boned. I
Yeah.
got T-boned and I was fine. I walked away with 0 scratches, maybe some back pain,
Yeah.
but that was it.
And recently, I think it was last Monday, there's a 16-year-old, she was texting and driving, and she was going well over the speed limit. Speed was a factor. And she started drifting, and she overcorrected and went right into a light post, and she
Oof.
succumbed to her injuries the next day. That freaks me out more than someone else hitting them. Are my kids going to be safe because they're practicing safety while driving?
Yeah.
Thank God no one else was in the car, and it's very unfortunate that she had died. It's scary. You know, my
Yeah.
kids are in a couple more years, they're going to be driving, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
That's
that's scary
terrifying.
stuff.
I'll stay
And
off the
it's,
roads.
yeah, yeah, for real. Yeah. And it's very
Um,
unfortunate for that family, but you
yeah.
know, stuff like that happens.
Well, and they have apps these days. I guess it's not these days, this was 10 years ago, but when I was in high school, they had an app and you allowed it to track your phone, but that app would track the miles that you drove with your phone locked. And so
Mm,
that way it pushed you to not be on your phone while driving, and every however many miles you drove, you got a certain amount of money for it, and then you could cash it out for gift cards and stuff later. And so that was a really cool incentive
yeah.
type thing that really, but it also wasn't pushed very much either. Like, I mean, there was a few of us that knew about it, but I only heard about it because of a friend.
Yeah. Yeah. And now with everything being a subscription, you have to pay for safety pretty much. And that kind of sucks all in itself. But I mean, what are you willing to pay for the safety of your kids? You pay a subscription and then your kids are going to be okay because there's other people in the world that drive, and there's other people
Yep.
in the world that don't drive safe. So,
Yeah, my grandpa always said, "I'm not worried about me getting in an accident. Like, I'm worried about somebody else getting in an accident and hitting me."
mhm.
There's lots of crazy drivers. I don't think I'm a horrible driver, but I think Peyton would definitely disagree on that one.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say I'm a more offensive. I'm a little both offensive and defensive driver, and I think you kind of have to be nowadays. Do I
Yeah.
let as much people in as I probably should? No. I block a little bit, but it all depends on the mood I'm in.
It's situation. I mean,
Situation.
if we're all supposed to be merging and you decided not to merge, I'm not letting you in.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah, good topic is 90s babies versus the, you know, 2020 kids or 2015 kids, 2010s.
2010s. Yeah, there's people that were born. You can work if you were born in 2011. Doesn't that make you feel old?
Yeah, it does. A lot of things make me feel old though. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we got our TikTok up and we got
Oh
Instagram
yeah.
up. So,
I finally downloaded TikTok.
it only took you getting a podcast to do so.
You know what I mean? Who would have thought? Yeah. Yeah, we'll
All
have to
right,
ask
buddy.
mom. All right, sounds good, Jesse.